Okay, hello, and whoever's watching this, welcome to another episode of Shenan and Niels conversation. Not really an episode, but we get together once in a while and we just talk about our insights and catch up. And we have some pretty cool conversations, so we thought we would record it. And whoever's watching this, I hope you get some value from it and enjoy it as much as we do. So. Yeah, we haven't seen each other for a while, actually. We haven't done this for a while, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And what do you want to get into today? Insights?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've been going through some stuff with the school on Saltspring Island,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I just love to know what came up for you in the weeks after.
Right. Okay, sure. I'd love to share that. So Salt Spring has been, I'm not sure if we talked about this last time, but I'll just, I'll repeat myself, I guess.
Yeah.
So I went to Salt Spring School, the 3P school in June, and I wasn't expecting it to be the way it was. And what I mean by that is I knew it's a 3P school. I've been in 3Ps for a few years now, so I'm, kind of, I know what to expect in terms of just this integrity of it or, the conversation that's going to be had. But what I didn't realize was I unconsciously had this meaning about school, the word school. What does that mean? Right. And I didn't really catch it. It was just completely unconscious that it was. Here's what I mean by that. So when we went there, it was a 3-day school. Obviously, as you know, it's Friday night and then Saturday, Sunday, full days, and then one day a half day. And so the first day on Saturday, we start, and basically the school was, we started at 9 o'clock. Elsie and Chip shared something about their clients or something that they have seen or whatever it is, just like a story or two. And literally it was about 20 to 40 minutes, right? Maybe one of them shared something, maybe both of them shared something, I can't recall. But after that, 20 or 40 minutes, they were like, okay, well, how about we take a 3-hour lunch break now? And I was in my head going, what? We just started. Like, what is this about? So that's when I realized that I have this meaning about what school means, right? I have something going on in my head around what school is supposed to mean. I had a notepad and a pen and everything. So obviously I didn't need that for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, like I said, in my head around what is this about? Why is it like this? Why are we taking a 3-hour break? We just got started. I'm here to learn, blah, 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 right? And I settled that down after I let that go a little bit of what that chatter was in my head. I started to really experience what it was about. And to be honest, it's been almost 2 months, right? It's August 2nd or 3rd. And I cannot remember more than 4 or 6 words that were said the entire weekend.
Wow.
Right? I just can't recall the words, the sentences, what was said. I just don't remember it.
Yeah.
But I do remember the feeling very, very clear. So that was a powerful thing for me to leave with, right? And this is my opinion of it, right? So I know everyone's going to interpret it differently, but what I got from the weekend was the feeling of oneness, like a tangible, real feeling of oneness. And for me, I haven't had that, I guess, ever in that sense. I mean, I'm sure as a kid, you know, it's normal. But what I mean by what I've never had that is because when I look back at it, I can see that what they did was they got the room to become quiet.
Mhm.
People kind of falling out of their own personal stories. And then when they seen that that was happening, and again, I'm not sure that they do this, I'm just, this is my opinion. When they seen that that was happening, it was time to take a break because everyone was in that same feeling, so that everyone can communicate and connect with each other at break time in that feeling and connect with themselves too. So that's what I got out of it. I got that presence of dropping out of myself, and just connecting to the essence of the feeling. And it was so real, it was so tangible, it was so palpable that it made me realize um, how easy it is to notice it, and how I have just not been noticing it, and so many times of my life when it's been present. So in other words, I gained a greater sense of respect for it because I was able to really feel that and sit in it instead of just bypass it or ignore it as something that is normal or regular, because it is so normal and regular, right? I just found it so ordinary but powerful, but really, really powerful. And one of the ways to be honest, I've just gave up on trying to describe that weekend because
Okay.
because after a while I was like, I really can't describe it, but maybe it will come to me. It's been almost 2 months. I'm like, I'm just not going to try and describe this now. But the best I've got so far is um, it's the ordinariness of silence that's always there and always present. I just never ever had that level of consciousness for it. I mean, when I say it's always there, it's like it's in us all the time, and we experience it everywhere and every day, many times a day. But for me, I just didn't. I've always kind of pushed it off as silence, or I need to do this, I need to do that, or always listen to this more. Here at this weekend, I was able to gain more respect for it, and I was able to also see how ordinary it is, and how normal it is, and how you can get there real quick. It's probably more accurate to say that it's always there. You just need to drop into it, and you can do that real quick. Right? Instead of get there, it's not like a destination. It's just a noticing of what's always there. And the more we can get quiet, the more you can notice this beautiful feeling that's there. And it's a powerful feeling because it's not like a silence that's after you finish talking and there's quietness.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of silence. It's a different vibe to it. You know what I mean, right? It's that.
Yeah.
It's that. Chip, I think, said it the best. He said, and this is what I remember from that weekend, if it's the 4 words that I do.
Okay.
He said, separate realities are only supported by thought. And that was beautiful to listen, right? Because it showed me in the moment that, oh yeah, when thought comes in, then there's division. Otherwise, there's no support for division without thought. And then he said, right? Isn't that powerful?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really hard to hear, like, or to grasp. It's
Yeah.
I mean, I can easily say I don't get that.
Totally. And I'm with you there. That's why I think it's so beautiful that in that school, in that space, they create that environment, and then they might say something like that, and it really hits you, right?
Yeah.
And he also said after that separate realities are supported only by thought, and something along the lines of they melt into the oneness. So if there's no thought supporting this division of 7 billion plus realities, then you melt into the oneness. That what I got from it is that that's the only thing left. Like when there's before thought, that's the only thing left is the oneness. So it's not a concept anymore. It's like I've seen how that's so true, that oneness is always there. We're always trying to pop into different kind of realities all day, every day, 50,000, 80,000 times a day, whatever it is. And that's the kind of silence I'm talking about when I say that's the silence I experienced. It's not silence after you speak and think, and that's useful too. I mean, I've got really good insights when people share distinctions or stories or whatever it is, but it's still an intellectual level insight. You get a shift, but you get a shift here. You get a shift in perspective. You get a shift in perception. And I think you were talking about that last time when we talked in May. You said something along the lines of, I think it's important to get it intellectually first. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
I see that. And for me, it's been true. When you get it intellectually, you kind of stop resisting. You're more invited to look at it, and then you might go deeper into it.
Yeah.
That's been true for me, for the 3 Bs, for sure, since the beginning. But here, it was different, because here, they went right to the bone. They weren't talking about any distinctions. They were just, here it is. You can notice it now.
Yeah. Wow.
It was really, really powerful. Very powerful. So yeah, that's what I got from the weekend as far as how the experience was. And I was drained, We didn't do anything. We were sitting all day and went for lunch and had a nice, long, slow walk. But I was quite drained, and that's, it just showed me that I had so much going on up here. I was finally letting some veils or layers go.
Yeah. It's sort of like the ego gets dragged along, kicking and screaming, and it's like, no, I've seen this new thing, and this is where we are now. It's, no, I don't want to go, but this, that, and the other.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's like there's parts of me that I don't know are still holding on to whatever I think is real, and then it's that feeling, right? When they talk about the feeling, when everyone talks about this feeling, I thought I got it, and right now I think I get it, and I'm sure next year I'll be like, oh, I thought I got it last year. Like, I just kind of, Jacqueline Hollows was also there. She was there for the 4th time.
Wow.
She did school the 4th time, and I love her. We get along really cool, and we did a weekend together here in Vancouver just before that Salt Spring weekend, and that was also powerful. She created a really beautiful space for us. And I went up to her, and she's like, how are you finding it? And I just, I remember telling her, I don't know anything about the principles. And she started laughing. She was like, yeah, that's it. Because that's how you feel when you get deeper. You're like, whoa, what was I in before? I didn't see it, what I thought I'd seen. And I mean, it's not that it's not valuable. Whatever I've seen before, yeah, it's very valuable. It's helped a lot of people. It's helped me completely shift.
Yeah.
It's helped my relationships. It's helped my business. It's helped every single aspect of my life. But then when you go deeper, you're going, ooh, what was that?
Yeah. It's like, what was I thinking? That's so wrong. But and then it's like, you start doubting yourself.
Yeah. I love it. I love that. that. It's really the essence of it all. And Dickon Bettinger was there too. I thought he was going to speak when I seen him, but he said he was there as a student, which was really good to see him. I had a nice chat with him, and he's a super nice guy.
Yeah,
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's really. I mean, apparently he's also really interested in like sort of the spiritual side of the principles, not necessarily like how can I use it in business or how can I help people or whatever. He's sort of more like how can I be the most loving person there is, and I mean that's the feeling I get from him, and I've heard people mention that's more so the side that he goes to.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, you get that vibe from him. Just standing beside him and talking to him, he's a really slow, gentle talker, and you kind of catch that vibe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, when you said that, you know what it reminds me of, like things have happened after the school for sure, and I'll get into that. One of the things was noticing that I don't have to use so much words to point people in that direction. Now, I use less words than I did ever before, but this weekend showed me that I can even use even less words. And that was really cool. So Monday I came back from Salt Spring. Wednesday I had my regular coaching call with a regular client. Every Wednesday we have a call together.
Yeah.
And what was cool for me to see was I showed up to that call different. I didn't know how different it was, but it was enough that I was not showing up to help. I was showing up to be. So I got on the call. You know what I mean by that? You're just kind of showing up, and you're more. I was more in tune. I had a greater sense of listening. I had a greater sense of presence, a greater sense of being.
Yeah.
And less of an intention.
Yeah. It's the distinction I heard I think last Tuesday on a coaching webinar, that the really great coaches, they make it about the client and not about the coach, or they make it about what can I do for you, or what they're just there for the clients and not about how good they are, or about what they can do necessarily for the client, or what the client needs. So this like being there for the client instead of trying to help the client, and it's a big distinction, a big shift between what sort of the coming from the ego and coming from the heart, I guess.
Yeah. That is exactly it. And what I found is that there's so many different layers to that, right? Because even, you know, even when we're showing up to serve, like I'm here to serve this person. I'm not trying to get them to become my client. This person's already my client. I'm not trying to get them any results. I'm just trying to serve them, whatever they need. Now, what I seen was that's also a layer. That's also an agenda. I never thought that was, but even if you want to, like if I want to show up for the client as I'm here for the client, I want to serve them. I found that it actually served them better if I just showed up as I want to be with the client. I'm not even interested in serving them because that's an intention. Like serving becomes a byproduct of just being with them. As long as you're being with them and they, so basically what I was going with this is that woman that I was coaching, 20 minutes into the call, she was completely full and complete.
Wow.
And we did not talk much. And that surprised me. It surprised me in a way where I was like, wow, what's that about? What do you feel full and complete about?
Yeah.
And she just felt like she doesn't need to talk about the things that she thought she wanted to talk about. That was amazing for me, right? Because it's showed me that the feeling that she got from the call or from the presence between the two of us was enough to give her the information she needed. It wasn't Shenan coming in and surgically coaching her problems out of her,
Yeah.
you know, or surgically helping her create. Maybe it's not even about the problems. Maybe she wants to create something. And I'm going, what about that? What about this? What about that? I wasn't doing any of that anymore. I was just like, hey, let's be with this person. They get to experience themselves in a different way. They feel full and complete. And then they get answers from it, which don't come from me. So that was really, really a powerful shift. You know, I'm reminded of something I read that David Deida or Deida, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Never.
Never heard of him.
Mm-mm.
He said something really cool, and I wrote it down. Let me just find it here. If I can find it. I won't spend all of my time scrolling on this phone.
That's fine.
There it is. So he said, and I relate this. I mean, he's not, you know, as far as I know, he's not 3P, but he says good artists are skilled, but great artists convey an immense depth of feeling through their expertise.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. Through their expertise, they have this feeling that comes out. Good artists are skilled. They're skilled at distinctions. They're skilled at metaphors. They're skilled at explanations. They're skilled at holding space. But great artists convey a feeling. Really, really powerful for me.
Yeah. Wow, that's that's one to let sit and simmer for a bit.
Yeah.
So.
And you know, for me, it just kind of points it more into that direction of that's where the money is. That's where the gold is. That's where, you know, the fertile field is.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, the metaphors and distinctions I love too. Like I love tickling the intellect and what's that about, or how do I see this differently? I love that, but it's a different game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes it's just needed to shake people up, wake them up, or sort of open the door or get a crack, and just to make them question a bit about what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's useful for sure.
Yeah,
it's useful.
But it's also sort of what comes to mind for me with making amazing music, that playing the guitar takes a lot of work, and there's just a lot of time of practicing and getting scales in your fingers and getting everything sort of into muscle memory. And then there comes a point that it's you go beyond that bit of being skilled, and it just sort of comes out naturally, and it just flows in sort of an expression of who you are. And that the great musicians, they hear the music and they can articulate the music naturally without having to think about what they're doing. It's not. There's no.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
You know what I mean, right?
I do know what you mean. I'm reminded of Prince when you say that.
Oh.
Yeah, just, naturally expressing it through him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's that weird kind of guy that's.
Yeah, I love Prince. He's super weird.
David Bowie's.
Yeah.
Of the world, that stuff. Yeah.
Or like a Michael Jackson through his dance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but that reminds me. I saw. I heard this clip of Michael's when some artist, I think in the 90s or back in the 80s, tried to sue him for a number or a song that he wrote. And the artist was like, "Yeah, this is my song, and it's almost the exact same as Michael's song." And he had to appear in court, and the bit that he had to testify, and he got questioned by one of the lawyers or the judge, I think. Can't remember. About how he writes his songs. He just starts writing. What was it? He started writing Thriller in the court right there, and then he just was like, "Oh, I do this, and I do this, and I do this," and he started beatboxing the music, and he starts singing over the beatboxing and what he does, and he just creates the whole melody in his head, and everything just flows out. He doesn't need to write it down. He doesn't need to do anything. He is the music. It's there. And what he apparently used to do is record everything that came up in his head in that form of music. So he's got like 100 songs or 800 songs of, I think he's got 80 songs ready to be recorded and released, and about 800 snippets and starts of songs in his vault somewhere, because he just had so much music going through him. And he wasn't even able to write it down because he don't know how to write music, I think. Because
Wow.
he just recorded it, and that was just his way of expressing the music.
That's beautiful.
Just being the music.
Yeah, I love how you said he is the music.
Yeah.
It is just trying to find a way to express itself, right? That's insight.
Yeah, it's really like mind flowing through him in the form of music. It's expressing of that that inner divine, whatever that is.
Right. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So I wanted to share one more insight that I've gotten recently, and it was a little bit like muddy. I was trying to articulate it myself to myself, and it wasn't really getting anywhere. And then it kind of just, it's still fresh for me, but it's really cool because I started to have less and less desire, right? Less and less desire. And I was a little bit like, oh my God, what's this about? If I have less and less desire, I'm going to do less and less. And that doesn't look good to me. In my mind, it was like, desire is important. What are you going to get up for every day if you have no desire?
Yeah.
But here's what was cool with it. I went with it, and I might have been back and forth with the resistance, but I went with it. And my insight was that my desires were really, they were coming from a result that I've had before. Right? So my desires were coming from a result that I've already had before, but it wasn't the result. It was the feeling that you get from a result.
Yeah.
Right? So I started to see that all desires are actually coming from memory. They're not coming from the fresh creative field. They come from memory. and therefore they're not grand, they're not the fullest potential, because they're coming from memory, right? And it looks new because it's a new combination or it's a new content. But if it's coming from memory, it's really attached to the feeling that you got from a result that you've had before. So you're really desiring the feeling, not anything else. But when you start to see more and more that your feelings are not coming from any results, they come from thought only, well, all of a sudden your desires start to fade away.
Right. Huh.
Right? And my desires started to drop, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I was like, what's that about? So that happened to me, and I kind of got a little bit freaked out of why I have no desires. But then I started to see that my desires were coming from memory. It was because of a feeling. Now that I can see feelings never come from results or anything else, what's the point of having desires that were attached to feelings? They don't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
What was left was this blank space. And then out of that blank space, desires, I don't even know if it's called desire anymore, but something new starts to come, but it's from the creative space now. It's not from this memory. And that was huge for me because it's like a new playing field. It's unknown. It's not attached to a feeling, so it's got so much more clarity. And and it has the potential to take you into a new journey, a new adventure that is not, you can't relate it to a past experience because you're not relating it to a feeling, you know?
Yeah.
So all that's left to do is play with it because you have no frame of reference there. And that's really cool. So that's kind of the journey I'm on right now.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I mean,
yeah, it's been really eye-opening, and I keep getting a little bit of nuggets around it.
Yeah. So is it sort of more, because I'm sort of trying to grasp it, and I know that's kind of not the point, but...
I'm also trying to grasp it still.
Good. Let's try it. For the both of us. So is it sort of that is more living from inspiration instead of instead of desire, more inspired action or thought or feeling, or I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's living from a greater sense of curiosity.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and I guess that's part of the inspiration. Like it's not. What's really clear to me is that before, my desires were attached to some kind of feeling that I've gotten from some kind of result, and therefore I wanted that kind of result. Right? And in a different way, in a different task, in a different context, but it was attached to a feeling, and that I had a misunderstanding that feelings came from so and so and so and so, and more that drops, therefore whatever was holding that drops as well.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, to answer your question, it's coming from more of a curiosity of like, ooh, I wonder what I can do with this. I wonder how I can play with it. I wonder how much I can push the envelope, because it's not going to make me feel anything.
Yeah.
It's so much more one-directed instead of, I don't know, like there's no Velcro attached to it. Like I'll get this and I'll feel this way. I won't get this and I'll feel this way. Versus explore, experiment, and just kind of see what happens. And I've used this language before with different insights, but it's just, I don't know, it's a different level of it, if that makes any sense.
Nope, but yeah. Not to me, well, sort of. But yeah, I think, well, what clicked for me in that moment was it sounds like kind of how a really a really happy, like how children should live or live, how
Yes.
they explore the world. It's like,
Yes.
oh, cool, let's try
That's
that.
exactly it. It's exactly it. That's a beautiful example. And it came to me too as a reference. Right. You don't see kids going after, like, really young children, 5, 6 years old. They don't go
Yeah,
after
that's
these
it.
kind of results because they've felt something before. They just go and explore
Hmm.
in a really greater sense of, like, experimentation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well
Like
put.
pushing the envelope, walking on the edge of what's safe and what's not safe, and then yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Very well put. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a sense I'm getting. And that's been my latest insight. It's to play with that. And I think,
Wow.
um, yeah, see where it goes. See where it goes.
Wow, amazing. That's really,
Yeah.
that's like the it sounds like the best way to live life. So,
Yeah, it seems like it now, right? Because it's not like the old way. It just stopped making sense to, I guess it's just a greater sense of flowing with whatever there is. And yeah, it's um memory comes up a lot. Like, I think memory has a huge part in my life, at least. It has had a huge part of avoid this feeling and move towards this feeling. Why? Because we remember this feeling is good and that one's bad. And my life being of a background of gang related world, I have a lot of that going on in my head, or at least I did. And that this kind of sliced through it and went, it doesn't have to be that way. It just, there's a different dimension available.
wow.
So
Yeah. So
yeah, go
sorry.
ahead.
So it's yeah, another level of consciousness, or another step, or another, yeah, another depth of in consciousness that you've come to, or
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely probably me dropping another layer or veil of things that I didn't see.
right.
And I just realized that we've been talking about it as a feeling. The English language is so limited, right? It's so intellectual. I mean,
Sure.
I know that maybe somebody's watching this going, wait a minute, you talked about a really good feeling in 3P and now you're talking about not having a feeling. It's, you know what I mean, right? It's emotion, not feeling. Like, emotion, uh, if you want to create a distinction, emotion is about happy, sad, frustrated, delighted. It's up and down. Feeling is just like a noticing of what's present in the moment, right?
Right. Yeah.
The feeling is good. The emotions are made up of thought.
Yeah.
And that's what I was attached to. I was attached to a past emotion I had experienced, completely innocently, unconsciously doing that and moving towards that. And then that started dropping away. I was going to say that, I suspect that that three-piece school is the culprit of this
Who
of
knows?
this and many other things that have just become much more lighthearted for me.
Yeah.
I really appreciated it very much. Met some really cool people there too. So, cool.
Yeah, it's still on my bucket list. Really high up on the list.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you have to let me know when you come here. Again, let me know in advance, and I'd love to join you there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll definitely be staying in Vancouver for a little while.
Yeah, you gotta.
And Winnipeg.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the family.
I spoke with Sundance just a couple of days ago, actually, at the beginning of this week on Monday.
Did you?
Yeah, it was a really cool conversation with him. He's up to some really, really cool things, and
Ooh, yeah.
I love how he's navigating with his own ways of bringing that truth out to the world, to his world.
Mm.
So I really enjoyed that conversation with him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last time I saw him was a year ago, a little over a year ago, and the shift the guy's made in a year, it's insane. He's just someone completely different. It's yeah, I mean, not not necessarily completely different person, but he's so much more himself than ever before, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's crazy. It's really impressive to see how much one person can change just within a year. Yeah, it's a testament to that. To going from feeling trapped and a victim of life and circumstance to like creating crazy stuff and being. I think he was on national television, right?
He was. Yeah, he was on. I think it was a global TV in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. It's very cool. Yeah. Very cool to see that.
So yeah. So should we end the conversation because it's
Sure. Yeah. We should
3 degrees here. And it's a bit
end
warm.
the episode for today.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just stop recording here. No, not that one.